So you thought the lawfare ended when President Trump was sworn in, didn't you? The words from Trump's oath of office were still floating in the Capitol rotunda when 3 lawsuits were filed. But don't worry, President Trump outsmarted these opponents. How? Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Dr. Ken Henry, and this is Conservative Commentary, where we spread the MAGA message. Before we begin, I'd like to ask you for a favor. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. This really helps us grow the channel and get the MAGA message out. And if you have time, go over to youtube.com/@TheMAGAMessage and check out our other videos. President Trump announced the creation of the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, before he took office. 2 so-called watchdog groups and the Federal Employees Union brought suit, claiming that DOGE didn't meet the requirements of the 1972 Federal Advisory Committee Act, or FACA. The act requires advisory committees to have a balance, whatever that is, of viewpoints, but the term balanced is not defined in the statute. FACA requires the publication in the Federal Register announcement of meetings along with meeting topics. So who's against government efficiency? Government employees, that's who. They know that many of their jobs could be eliminated by the Trump administration. President Trump signed an executive order on Monday, January 20th, ordering all federal employees back to the office and ending the work-from-home policies implemented during COVID. Many employees may choose to find other employment rather than to return to the office. Now, I worked for Kentucky state government for 6 years, and I can tell you firsthand that merit employees have no motivation to perform well. In fact, they grew to expect a 5% raise every year. The old saying was, stay alive and get your 5. The federal system, with over 3 million civilian employees, is America's 15th largest workforce. So you can imagine how easy it is for lifers to burrow into the system and hide from performance expectations. First, these lawsuits should be dismissed because they were filed before President Trump signed the executive order. Federal courts are open only for actual controversies, and there certainly can be no controversy over a non-existent executive order. But even so, President Trump outsmarted these challenges anyway. Section 2 of the executive order reads, in Section 2A, DOGE structure, reorganization and renaming of the United States Digital Service. The United States Digital Service is hereby publicly renamed as the United States DOGE Service, USDS, and shall be established in the Executive Office of the President. Section 2B reads, establishment of a temporary organization. There shall be a USDS administrator established in the Executive Office of the President, who shall report to the White House Chief of Staff. There is further established within USDS, in accordance with Section 3161 of Title V of the United States Code, a temporary organization known as the U.S. DOGE Service. Temporary organization. The U.S. DOGE Service temporary organization shall be headed by the USDS administrator and shall be dedicated to advancing the agenda of the President within 18 months. The U.S. DOGE Service Temporary Organization shall terminate on July 4, 2026. The termination of the U.S. DOGE Service Temporary Organization shall not be interpreted to imply the termination, attenuation, or amendment of any other authority or provision of this code. And then we go down to Section 5B, which states this order shall be implemented consistent with applicable law and subject to the availability of appropriations. So how did President Trump outsmart the FACA challenges? He renamed an existing White House unit, the United States Digital Service, to the United States DOGE Service, and then created within the DOGE Service this temporary DOGE organization with an 18-month lifespan. Perfectly fine. There's no difference here, and whether, he may have created a unit within the White House counsel's office for temporary purposes. Now, in my opinion, the FACA statute is unconstitutional. This is a legislative intrusion into the operation of the executive branch. And remember, we have three equal but separate branches of government. It would be sort of like the president ordering Congress to construe their committees in a certain way. Watch this clip of Greg Jarrett from Fox News discussing these lawsuits, and please share your thoughts with us in the comments.
Hours after Donald Trump was actually president of the United States, we find out that Elon Musk and his DOGE is being sued. They say they violate in 3 separate lawsuits their transparency law and don't like the hiring practices. Here to make sense of it is Greg Jarrett. Legally, DOGE is a problem when a guy gets paid $0 in order to streamline government and just make suggestions on how it's going to be done?
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. By the way, it's like Miami Beach here because you turn on the air conditioning. Wow, this is...
I know. We open up
It's so hot here.
Right, I know. He's being sarcastic. But let's talk about what Elon Musk is thinking now. Does he have to put this whole thing on hold?
Well, first of all, you know, this is a premature lawsuit. It was actually filed before Trump, as you saw there, signed the executive order creating DOGE. And it's basically bureaucrats who object to cutting out wasteful spending. You know, this is the most bloated bureaucracy in world history. And bureaucrats don't want to lose their jobs, so they want to keep the government waste in there because it offers them full employment. So they're suing based on a 53-year-old law that says, well, if it's an advisory committee to the government, it has to be fully transparent and it must be balanced. You have to have bureaucrats on the advisory committee, which is utter nonsense. I don't think the lawsuit will succeed. It depends on how DOGE is constructed, and we don't know yet.
Yeah, I mean, he's beginning to set up areas of responsibility to study in the government, and then he's going to come up with some suggestions.
Yeah.
But if you see the way Elon Musk operates, he doesn't just have great ideas. He actually has great systems. He understands manufacturing. He understands workforce load. He just studies this as much as he does the science and the physics behind some of his creations. So he is really, I didn't realize until I read the book by Walter Isaacson how perfectly built he is to do just this in government.
Yeah, he's obviously a skilled, brilliant guy, an entrepreneur extraordinaire. And I think we need those kinds of skills on a DOGE committee to cut trillions of dollars in wasteful spending and costly regulations. If you leave it up to bureaucrats, they'll increase the debt and deficit.
All right.